All right, so I want to throw together this video of just kind of a introductory look at Visual Studio 2026. They have released the Insiders version, I guess, as they're calling it, which is basically a preview version of the new version or the new Visual Studio. I have not looked at this at the slightest. I have not looked at any of the documentation or any of the blog posts that they put out about what it's like, what the features are. This is a brand new sight unseen look at it for me. So you load it up here and you get a new launch screen here, which gives you a little bit better view, I think, of the. And I have Visual Studio 2022 open here on the right, just to kind of give you side by side comparison here. Um, so it kind of gives you a little bit better view of the projects that you've worked with. And like I said, I haven't launched this before. This is pulling in the list of projects from 2022. Let's open up the same project here. Um, you can see it's much quicker to load. Let's get this in side by side here so we can look at them. 2026 on the left and 2022 on the right. And let's start with the Solution Explorer here. You can see it's mostly the same. It looks like default font size is a little bit smaller. It's supposed to pull in, all of your settings from 2022, but apparently it does not get a one-for-one match on everything. For instance, my bottom output screen is not there. It does look pretty snappy though. You can see I've got some Git changes pending here. Doesn't open the properties by default, but it looks fairly similar to what 2022 looks like here. Get a little bit different view of the menu bar at the top here. See a little bit better distinction between those, and before you can drag and drop the sizes, but get a little bit of separation between them, so it looks a little bit nicer, a little bit easier to read there. So control scroll obviously does do still resizing there, so you can get it back to that. Didn't pull in all of my settings here, so for instance, you can see my Copilot chat defaulting to Agent and Claude Sonnet. Doesn't change that here. It might be because I haven't. No, it does have me signed in, so it's not that. Obviously, it doesn't pull over everything just yet, so let's change those to see a little bit different. Okay. There is a bug in 2022 right now where Copilot chat really doesn't work for some people, and I'm one of those people that if I do anything over here, it'll tell me I'm out of tokens, even though I'm not. I wonder if that bug's over here. So um, yeah, let's add get package to endpoints the API project. See what that does. Okay, so I did update 2022 to always allow, but again, looks like not all the settings go across. Okay, so apparently that bug doesn't still work, because if I did the same thing over here, it would tell me I'm out of tokens. So that's good. I go back here and look. But nothing's changed because I haven't told it to do anything with the API project yet. But okay, that's nice. I know as far as the menus go, everything looks fairly similar. Not seeing any changes here as far as features that are listed. Everything looks pretty similar here. Okay, let's just go ahead and run that, see if anything different comes up here. As the output shows up now. That was there before, though, I guess. Okay, so one difference here is it's still got the terminal down here. About the terminal, but it's in a separate from autos. So not not a lot of differences visually between the two versions. So I do see overall it is much snappier, much faster than than 2022 is. So let's look at the blog post now because I haven't looked at any of this before. Or this is the official page for insiders. I think obviously Copilot is going to be the big focus. It's going to be you know everything's about Copilot now, and 2026 clearly is going to make that the core focus of it. For instance, here if I were to pull that across, I had to run this from here. But it's still PowerShell. What all these other things that are popping up suddenly are. Yeah, that doesn't matter at the moment. But obviously the focus of 2026 is going to be Copilot. It's going to be the core of everything. It's going to be the central focus. It's I don't know how I feel about that yet. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Copilot. I've done a few blog posts recently about just playing around with Copilot and until this recent bug where it's keeps telling you you're out of tokens. It's fine. It does some things really well. Just don't think it's there yet. I don't think the intelligence levels are there yet. Does things does some things great, and a lot of things it doesn't do very well at all. So, you know, exactly, as far as things that they may be new in 2026. Um, One thing I did notice, as I was installing it, is the install is so much faster. It did pull over extensions and things like that. So if I look at my extensions, as far as what I've got installed here, um, these are all ones that I had installed in 2022. So I pulled those across. It also it's not showing ReSharper for some reason. I do have JetBrains and ReSharper installed as well. Not sure why it's not showing there, but or maybe maybe with this latest update because it just ran another update and maybe it didn't reinstall it correctly. But even with the extensions that I have that I pulled across, that I'm using here, because if I look at extensions on this side, see it shows there's a ReSharper there. You can see other than that, it's mostly the same list. I didn't install Xamarin in the new version. I don't ever play around with that really, but even without that, the install went through really fast. It was like just a couple minutes, whereas this latest update that I ran for 2022 probably took close to 15 minutes to install. Um, so yeah, there's a huge boost in speed as far as that goes. The install speed. Hopefully that keeps up with that. Obviously, Visual Studio 2022 used to be pretty fast as well, but the more things they keep adding to it, the more updates, the slower it gets. And I would assume that over time, 2026 will get that slow as well. Also, there are absolutely no problems installing 2026 side by side with 2022. So that's a problem that they've solved for quite a while now. But clearly you can see, while I did pull over my extensions, other than this possible, because ReSharper was here until this last update, so I don't know what happened. But the settings clearly didn't pull across all my settings. Although it did ask me about that during the install, and it did have me sign in, do all that. Fluent development, I don't know that I don't see a whole bunch of different between the two. For instance, like the icons. The icons all look fairly similar. They're a little bit smaller, maybe at the most. But all the icons look pretty much the same as what's over here on 2022. So, other than that, but like I said, I did notice here, if I look at programs, this is a little nicer here at the top. This pops out a little bit more as far as the scroll bar goes. Because if I look at program here, scroll bar definitely is an improvement. If you look at the two there, it's a little bit, keeps out of the way here until you hover over it, and then it pops out really nicely. Not so much over here. Don't know about, it's like here, the highlights, the things that are potential issues. For instance, over here, if you hover over it, you get a pop up what that is, and I think that's actually ReSharper is doing that, but this is not giving me anything there. So, not a huge amount of visual difference between the two. Full stack support built in. Yeah, marketing speak. Who knows what that means? Right. Yeah, .NET 10 out of the box here. When it does release .NET 10, it'll be here. But every other version of this was also included in Visual Studio 2022. Going back, as long as it's been around. So Visual Studio itself, as long as they can keep the performance up, great. That's the biggest thing. Every version of Visual Studio just kind of seems to get bogged down after a few versions. You install a few extensions. Like 2022. Once you get something like ReSharper, if you were to add ReSharper, it would drag from that point on. Or depending on the version. Sometimes some versions are better, some were not. But there were times once ReSharper was installed that it would just slow to stop. You really couldn't do anything, and you'd have to disable it or uninstall it entirely until the next version where they fix some of the performance issues. And hopefully that's not the same thing that we run into with 2026. But obviously, first view, sight unseen, looks okay. Looks a little nicer, a little crisper, but not visually a big change. It just it does seem much faster to start with, and we'll see how it goes. It's kind of my first impression of it. Like here, if we do like a what's new in 2026, just kind of peek around and see what let's see what Google tells us here. Major major UI refresh. I don't see it. I don't know what you would define as major. It looks almost the same, a little bit nicer, but I don't see that. Copilot. We had Copilot before, and if you look at the two versions here, But you know, if I look at Copilot chat here and here, I mean, it looks almost like you know, a little bit neater, a little bit smaller here. But it's not like it's any different in how it's being implemented or how it shows up. It looks pretty much the same. It also includes new features for C Sharp and .NET 10. So what, you know, 2022 will include those ones, you know, .NET 10 and isn't released also. So AI assisted profile, you know, Profile is great. To be honest, I don't use Profiler a whole lot. So you know, I'm not sure that I would get that much out of it. You know, multimodal model AI support, connect your own link learning or large language models. Um, okay. You know, is that an improvement? I don't know. To be honest, because I don't do a whole lot with AI stuff. I haven't been too happy with, you know, with everything that comes out with it. It does some things well, like I say, but you know, is that a reason to jump up to 2026? Yeah, by itself, no, I don't think so. You know, but performance, that alone does that alone is a big benefit, I think. Um, as long as they can keep that up, as long as they can keep it going with that, um, with better performance, then I'm all for that. You know, so if they can do that, keep it going, great. The one thing I did hear about from somebody was the themes. So you know, if I look at like the themes, uh, there are a bunch more themes now. So if we go like, I thought there was some place where you could do like a quick switch of themes, but yeah. So yeah, I heard there's a bunch more themes now. So like you know, you can do plum. You can okay, that's kind of cool. I like purple. Cool breeze. Yeah, mint. I'm assuming it's yeah, it's a little light green and light glow. Okay, dark with a little bit more blue. Ice here. Oh, kill. I don't know how anybody can code with that. Put it in there, sure. People like it. Forest. Editor appearance match the theme. Okay, so I guess the editor window you can have be a different theme than the outside. Oh, there we go. Okay, I have to actually look at an editor window. Okay, it would seem to me that, you know, if you're gonna you can include anything in this box should be like editor appearance, but whatever. Go back to match theme. What does that look like here? Okay, so that doesn't really give you a whole lot of change here. Editor window still looks the same. Well, I guess if you've only got like the 4 options here for the editor window, maybe that's the only 4 options, regardless of the theme. Cool slate, kind of cool. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. That is terrifying. Yeah, definitely not that. Light, any day. Yeah, it's kind of grating on the eyes there. Pink. That that almost looks the same as sunny day. Or change? Oh yeah, I guess it's slightly different shade. Or use a system setting. Okay. Um, yeah. I mean, I kind of like purple, so maybe I'll stick with that. Okay, so yeah, I did hear there's a bunch more themes, and that is pretty cool. You like that? Formative bottom margin, number selection counts, file encoding. So like if you look here, is that any different? Okay, I guess there is some differences there. That's a resharper. Okay, so it's telling you about warnings and errors in the file. You can jump between them. Oh, that's a little handy. Okay, so I do like that, being able to have that, you know, on a file by file basis. Run code cleanup. Do that one-click code cleanup. That's kind of nice. Okay. Code coverage tools. Inline pull request comments. Okay, so I'm not doing anything as far as pull requests go in here at the moment. What is that? Expand code coverage tools. Let's see what that says here. Okay, so they're talking about okay, so AI in the workflow, adaptive paste. Copilot just pasted snippets to match project conventions. Now that I would like if it works. Again, my experience with Copilot is hit and miss. You know, some places it works great, some places it's terrible. But you know, if it works, when it works, sure, that's a great thing. Context menu actions, that's pretty cool, I guess. Did you mean so that is something that that is fantastic. It's one of the things that I kind of like about Writer is it does a pretty good job of fuzzy search. If you do a search for like a like a class name and you can't remember the exact name of the class, Writer's pretty good at suggesting things that are close to what you typed. But you know that's been one of the advantages of Writer for quite a long time. If they can get Visual Studio to match that and do just as well, then that's fantastic. I would like that. Let's see here. Still not sure from this what they mean by the workload stuff. And then again bring your own models here. Or the code coverage, that's what I mean. That's what I was talking about. Because that what they linked to here didn't talk at all about code coverage. Pretty sure it didn't. Well, I'll just play around with that some more and see. So, that's it for now. There's some pretty cool stuff here. And the theme alone, I'm being able to do purple. That alone is worth the upgrade for me. Yeah, but I'm easy to please. So. All right, so there's a quick introductory look at Visual Studio 2026 in the Insiders edition, which Insiders instead of Preview edition. So when you get a chance, go out there. You can download it. It's available, general availability now. Go out and take a look and let me know what you think.